What are you actually trying to achieve with this cover? And I read the interview, and the interview never once... You do the interview, I think, don't you?
I did the interview, yeah.
Never once in the entire thing, with all the pictures and the interview, do you, as the editor of Cosmo, even infer that this may not be a good weight to be, that this actually might be morbid obesity? And in Britain right now, we have the worst incidence of obesity in Europe by miles. We are a fat and ever-fattening country. And here are you, as an editor of a very popular magazine, telling women it's fine to be 300 pounds. I don't get it.
No, I know you don't get it. And it's interesting because you say, looking at that, that's going to encourage obesity. She's 5'3". She comes from a trailer in Mississippi.
So she is dangerously overweight, isn't she? For a 5'3" woman to be 300 pounds is actually dangerous. Do you not accept that?
Let me just finish.
Do you accept that?
Do I accept what?
That a 300-pound woman at 5'3" is dangerously overweight.
When I put people on my cover, I don't ask them to do a blood analysis.
No, but do you think that that is healthy or dangerous?
I'm not here to pass judgment. I see her...
I'm asking you to pass judgment.
I don't. I see her run around with her children. I see her move. She's a model. She works...
And you, as the editor of Cosmo, have put this cover on every newsstand in the country.
You know what else is dangerous, Piers? Is that we have a crisis with mental health and people feeling terrible about body image. So this cover, this is one cover which has a larger lady on the cover in a sea, in a world, in a culture which has venerated, since I can remember, thinness. So are people going to look at that and go, do you know what? I'm now going to go mainline donuts. This is what I want for my life. Of course they're not. It's patronising.
How do you know?
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
You're making
and
this
I don't
look
believe
like
you think that.
You
I
are
do not believe you think
celebrating.
that.
You are
I'm
celebrating
her.
morbid obesity.
I am not celebrating
That's what you're
morbid
doing.
obesity.
You want to sort of look at this and go, and you're doing it for clickbaits. You're doing it to be on TV. You're doing it to get Cosmo talked about.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Tina,
you know this
you've
is not
been
true.
a very overweight woman before.
I've lost 12 stone 4 pounds. You should be encouraged to come out and be sporty and get moving and do something about it. I suffered 18 years as a big fat ugly bird. I'm suffering now the other way, being thinner, because I can't get work. I was a fat bird actress. But...
And you got work accordingly.
Yeah, and what she's doing is embracing it. I get what you're trying to do, but the mental health thing is... where you would not put somebody on the front with a bottle of vodka, an alcoholic, or somebody with drugs, embracing drugs.
Not the same.
This,
not the
it
same.
is.
Not
to put
the
a
same.
skinny actress...
It's the
same.
A doctor will tell you
she is
that morbid
obesity
is as dangerous as drugs or alcohol. They will.
She's killing herself.
Why are you saying
And also, fat people lie constantly.
First of all, am I saying that it's OK to look like this? Yes, I am saying that.
Really?
And it goes back to my point that I made earlier, which both of you have... Piers, just let me finish. Just let me finish. Because you have... And this is the thing that really concerns me. You're a journalist. You know things are not black and white. So you have read this. The reason she is on my cover is to show that there is a different way to look. We live in a culture... I had an eating disorder when I was between the ages of 13 and 16 years of age. We live in a culture which venerates being thin. So... do you know what? If there are, and I honestly don't believe this, if there are a minority of people out there who go, do you know what? Morbid obesity is the way for me. If, on the other hand, there are millions of people who see this and they've never been exposed to a body like this before, if they go, actually, do you know what? For one day only, I'm going to feel great about myself.
Been exposed to bodies like this? You can go to Florida and Texas.
No, not on the front of a glossy magazine.
So what you're doing is you're celebrating this body image.
What Farrah is doing through this picture is saying...
I want to hear Susanna defend this. Go on.
What I think this does is says we do not all look like Cosmo cover girls.
We know that.
But we don't see it, Piers.
People down the street.
This isn't people on
You see 100 body images in 10 minutes walking down White City.
They're covered up.
OK, Susanna,
you don't see them like this. They're
OK, so can I ask you something then? So what are we going to do about this? 11-year-olds in this country and under, we are suffering, as Piers said, I don't like to agree with him, but what he's saying is correct. Absolutely. 11-year-olds and under, at the moment in this country, there's an epidemic of obesity. And we're encouraging
with the food that we're giving them and the amount of exercise that they're getting and the PE lessons which are being cut at school. They are not going to look at Cosmo and try and be 300 pounds.
That's it. And also, I do not think that the world we live in, you know, as I said, this is an isolated cover. So is the messaging from the rest of the world that this is what you should look like? No. Is the messaging from the rest of the world is that you should be thin?
No, but you're saying
it is.
You're saying it's okay.
OK, Tina, shush, for a moment.
She just said you're right. You should embrace.
She said she didn't want to admit it, but I was right.
Farrah,
let me ask you this.
Sometimes I think he is right.
Do you not think, as a responsible magazine editor of a magazine read by a lot of impressionable young women, at some part of that interview, you as the editor should have indicated this is not a healthy body weight to be? She might be happy with it. She's making millions of dollars.
I don't think that has to be
fueled
spelled
and helped
out.
editors like you who are giving her all this exposure and publicity. But should you not, as a responsible editor, somewhere in your piece, have just at least suggested this is not a healthy body weight? Would that not have been a responsible thing to do? Because there's not a shred of anything warning anyone.
Where in the article does it say it's a healthy body weight?
Where's the article saying it's not a healthy?
It doesn't. And also, I am a journalist. I put the information out there. I'm not here to pass judgment on anyone, and I never have been. And as a journalist, you know that
passes
not,
judgment on people every single page. What are you talking about?
Don't be ridiculous.
There's nothing you do other than pass judgment on people.
You clearly haven't read a magazine or this magazine in a very long time.
I've read Cosmo for donkey's years.
Have you been reading this one regularly? I really don't think
The male model and the nerd. You're passing judgment on the nerd?
I think
Who's
also
nerd?
here, what we're talking about
Who is this guy you call the nerd?
She is
We don't pass judgment apart from the nerd.
She's an extreme. We're not talking about somebody who's slightly overweight. We're talking about somebody who is morbidly and clinically and dangerously obese with 2 young children. Shouldn't she really have some kind of...
She's not in any doubt about her weight.
There's nothing positive about being 300 pounds. It means you're likely to die quite early. She has young children.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So she has a responsibility.
She has young children. Is she going to die early? We don't know.
Well, she
I'm
will
not,
do.
I'm not here to pass judgment
So you
on
think
that.
that is healthy?
You keep going back to the same thing. Have I seen indication
healthy,
that she is healthy? Have I seen her working 16-hour days, running around with her children?
That's irrelevant. She's unhealthy.
irrelevant.
She's cutting her life
irrelevant.
That's caused quite a stir.
As the editor that put this on the
Are you going to
cover,
ask me the same question again until I agree with you?
Well, you haven't answered it.
I have answered it.
Do you think that is healthy to be 300 pounds at 5'3"? Yes or no?
For her, from what I have seen, yes.
No,
Could
it's
somebody
not.
else at 300 pounds
It's
be unhealthy?
not.
Absolutely.
20 doctors would tell you it's
Good
not.
No.
You won't find a
very
doctor
much
in the world
indeed.
that thinks that is healthy.
Now Piers is repeating what I
Not
said.
one.
Yeah.
Farrah is not saying be like that.
And she is a very beautiful girl.
You're on the cover of your magazine and you're not saying be like that.
She's a very beautiful girl, but it's promoting unhealthiness.
Come off it. Look, Farrah's got job done. Everyone's talking about it. It's a very...
Well, only because of you. I mean, let's be honest, I've had plus-size women on the cover before. Nobody has ever had a problem. And here...
How many 300-pound women have you had on the cover?
Well, this is the thing. This is the tipping point, isn't it? Because people are like, oh, you can be big, but you can't be that big. So this is really interesting. Well, that's not what you and your followers are saying.
But you should aspire to not be that big. Actually, we should all aspire to be as healthy as we can, right? Do you agree?
She's aspiring to be as healthy as she can within that body.